In the depths of the Mariana Trench, where their journey had begun, the alien archive continued its vigil. But now it held new data. The story of how humanity had taken the combined knowledge of 17 fallen civilizations and turned it into something the collective had never imagined possible. They had learned to thrive in the crushing depths, to turn pressure into power, to adapt and evolve beyond anyone's expectations. And in doing so, they had become something new, not just survivors, but guardians of a legacy passed down through the ages. The stars above Earth's oceans beckoned, promising new challenges and opportunities for adaptation. Humanity had learned its greatest lesson. True strength wasn't about dominating an environment, but about learning to transform its greatest challenges into unprecedented advantages. The age of the collective was over. The age of adaptation had begun. We are the depths you never thought to fear. And now, it's time for you to learn what humanity becomes when backed into a corner. The ocean continued to churn as more ships rose from Earth's waters, a tide of human ingenuity and determination that would reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. The Horizon Collective was about to learn that they hadn't been watching humanity drown. They had been watching them learn to become the apex predators of a new environment, one that would soon include all of space. New Dawn. 3 months after the Battle of Earth's Oceans, Dr. Sarah Connor stood in the observation dome of Horizon Prime, the former capital ship of the Collective's fleet. Its liquid metal architecture had been modified with human pressure technology, creating a hybrid of two civilizations' greatest achievements. The last Collective holdout surrendered this morning. Admiral Zhang reported, his hologram materializing beside her. Their entire empire is in chaos. They never created contingencies for total defeat. It wasn't something they could even imagine. Sarah watched as Earth rotated below them, its oceans now home to a civilization unlike anything humanity had originally envisioned for itself. The underwater cities and facilities they'd built for survival had become the foundation of a new way of life. The Archive's message beacon has been activated, she said. 17 civilizations waited centuries for someone to find or combine knowledge and use it. Now we can tell them their sacrifice wasn't in vain. Throughout the solar system, the remnants of the Collective's fleet were being systematically upgraded with pressure adaptation technology. Ships that had once been unstoppable in space were being reborn as hybrid vessels, capable of operating in environments their original designers had never considered. The diplomatic envoys from the Collective's former subject worlds are arriving, Zhang noted. They're all requesting access to our pressure adaptation technology. Apparently, the ability to turn a planet's oceans into an impenetrable fortress has become quite attractive. In Phoenix Station, now serving as Earth's primary technological development center, Chief Engineer Aisha Patel was already working on the next generation of innovations. The integration of collective liquid metal technology with human pressure systems had opened up entirely new fields of physics. We're not just sharing technology, Sarah observed, watching a group of alien scientists studying a pressure drive demonstration. We're teaching them how to adapt, how to look at problems from angles they never considered. The observation dome's display shifted to show the Leviathan leading a mixed fleet of human and former collective vessels. The ship that had spearheaded humanity's liberation was now the flagship of a new kind of space force, one that used the lessons learned in Earth's oceans to protect the freedom of multiple species. The 17 civilizations that created the archive, Zhang mused, they chose Earth for a reason. They didn't just see a world with deep oceans. They saw a species that had evolved to explore those depths, to adapt to the most extreme environments. They knew that if any civilization could turn the ocean's pressure from a barrier into an advantage, it would be humanity. Sarah smiled, remembering that first moment in Nautilus Station when they discovered the archive. The collective thought they were forcing us to regress. Instead, they pushed us to evolve in a direction they couldn't imagine. We didn't just survive in the depths, we learned to thrive there. A priority alert flashed across their neural interfaces. Long-range sensors had detected another branch of the Collective's empire, previously unknown, moving to investigate the loss of contact with Earth. They were bringing a fleet 3 times the size of the one humanity had defeated. They still haven't learned, Zhang said, studying the tactical display. They think more ships, more of the same technology, will change the outcome. Should we begin evacuation protocols? Asked one of his staff officers. No, Sarah replied, watching the Leviathan and its fleet move into defensive positions. The oceans taught us that pressure isn't just a force of destruction. It's a source of power for those who learn to adapt to it. Let them come. They'll find that humanity isn't retreating to the depths this time. Across Earth's oceans, a new generation of ships was already under construction, incorporating lessons learned from their victory. Each vessel was a testament to humanity's ability to take the very forces meant to constrain them and turn them into strengths. Send word to the fleet, Zhang commanded. Operation Rising Tide is now permanent doctrine. Earth's oceans aren't just our fortress. They're our launching pad to the stars. All fleet elements report ready, Captain Elena Rodriguez announced. 6,000 vessels stationed at strategic points across Earth's oceans. Pressure drive systems are charged and primed. Marcus studied the tactical display, mentally reviewing their battle plan one final time. Status of Operation Ghostlight. The collective sensors are focused exactly where we want them, Elena replied. Their attention is fixed on the decoy energy signatures. They've completely overlooked our actual launch positions. In Phoenix Station, Chief Engineer Aisha Patel made final adjustments to the Leviathan systems. The prototype vessel would lead the first wave, demonstrating the full potential of humanity's pressure-based technology. Dr. Connor's final analysis confirms it, she reported through the command network. The collective's liquid metal technology becomes unstable under rapid pressure changes. The energy release from our fleet's surfacing will create a disruption field they can't adapt to. Marcus opened a channel to all underwater facilities. This is Admiral Zhang. For 1 year, we've hidden in the depths while the collective believed they were watching our civilization crumble. They thought the ocean's pressure would keep us contained. Instead, it has forged us into something they could never imagine. He paused, watching the final preparations through multiple feeds. Today, we show them that humanity doesn't submit. We adapt. We evolve. We rise. In high orbit, Vextil's sensors suddenly registered thousands of pressure anomalies forming across Earth's oceans. The surface began to bulge in countless locations, a phenomenon that defied their understanding of physics. High Commander, Zyra's voice carried genuine alarm. Multiple objects breaching. Energy signatures are off the scale. Before Vextil could respond, the ocean itself seemed to erupt. Thousands of vessels burst from the depths, their metamaterial hulls seamlessly transitioning from aquatic to space configuration. The stored pressure energy released in controlled bursts, propelling them toward orbit with acceleration that seemed to violate natural law. Impossible. Vextil's form rippled chaotically. Their technology was primitive. We made certain of it. The Leviathan led the charge, its massive hull gleaming with power as it rose from the Pacific. The pressure differential between deep ocean and vacuum became pure energy, transformed into shields that could withstand any conventional weapon. All vessels, execute Battle Plan Poseidon, Marcus commanded. The human fleet moved with perfect coordination, formations shaped by months of training in the ocean depths. Each ship was a perfect fusion of human innovation and the combined knowledge of 17 fallen civilizations. The collected ships tried to adapt, their liquid metal hulls morphing into defensive configurations, but they had never encountered weapons designed to exploit the fundamental weaknesses in their technology. The pressure waves from the human fleet's transition created cascading failures in their adaptive systems. Their shields are failing, Elena reported, watching through multiple sensor feeds. The pressure disruption is having exactly the effect we predicted. In Phoenix Station, Aisha watched through the Leviathan sensors as the first shots were fired. Beams of concentrated pressure difference struck the collected ships, causing their liquid metal hulls to lose cohesion. The technology that made them seemingly invincible in space became their greatest vulnerability. All that time hiding in the depths, she murmured, we weren't just avoiding their sensors. We were learning to weaponize the very forces they thought would contain us. The battle unfolded with devastating efficiency. The Collective's fleet, caught completely off guard, couldn't adapt to attacks that violated their fundamental understanding of physics. Ships that had conquered countless civilizations began falling to weapons born in Earth's deepest trenches. Vextil watched in horror as their supposedly invincible fleet was torn apart by technology that shouldn't have existed. How? They demanded, their form barely maintaining coherence. How did they achieve this level of advancement without detection? The answer came in the form of the Leviathan itself, rising before their flagship like an ancient sea monster given technological form. Admiral Zhang's voice transmitted across all frequencies. You thought the ocean's pressure would keep us primitive and contained. Instead, it taught us how to evolve beyond anything you could imagine. You came to assimilate us, but we have become something entirely new, something your liquid metal technology can never adapt to. The Leviathan's weapons powered up, pressure drive systems creating a disruption field that caused the Collective flagship's hull to ripple uncontrollably. We aren't the prey you thought we were, Zhang continued. Show me the fleet production numbers, she requested. The display shifted to reveal statistics that would have seemed impossible just months ago. Hidden shipyards across Earth's oceans had produced over 5,000 vessels, each one incorporating technologies that merged human ingenuity with the knowledge of 17 fallen civilizations. Collective ships entering Sector 7, the AI warned. They're launching deep scan probes. Aisha smiled. Initiate Protocol Mirage. Throughout Phoenix Station, systems shifted into stealth configuration. The massive facility seemed to disappear into the darkness, its energy signatures masked by carefully designed countermeasures. But they didn't just hide. They projected false readings, creating the impression of primitive research equipment and simple submariner activity. They're scanning the thermal vents, Tom reported, watching the probe data, looking for energy signatures that might indicate advanced technology. Let them look, Aisha replied, turning back to her work. The deeper they search without finding anything, the more convinced they'll become that we're helpless. The deception wasn't just about hiding. It was about showing the Collective exactly what they expected to see. Surface nations maintained small fleets of outdated submarines, making obvious attempts to conceal them. Resistance groups launched futile attacks using primitive weapons. Every action was calculated to reinforce the aliens' belief in their own superiority. New data from Admiral Zhang, Tom announced. The Collective is planning a full-spectrum analysis of Earth's oceans. They're bringing in their most advanced biosensor ships. Aisha had been expecting this. The Collective's overconfidence was their greatest weakness, but even they would eventually notice that something wasn't quite right. The question was whether humanity would be ready when they did. Show me the Leviathan prototype, she ordered. The holographic display shifted to show their most ambitious project, a vessel that would redefine the nature of space combat. Its hull was composed of layered metamaterials that could instantly adapt to any pressure environment. Weapon systems drew power directly from the pressure differential between deep ocean and vacuum. It was a perfect fusion of human innovation and the combined knowledge of 17 civilizations that had fallen to the Collective. Final integration of the pressure drive is complete, Tom reported. The ship can transition from maximum depth to orbital altitude in under 15 seconds. Nothing in the Collective's fleet can match that kind of acceleration. A shadow passed over the engineering bay's viewport. A massive whale shark, curious about the hidden facility. Aisha watched it glide past, remembering how alien the deep ocean had seemed when they first began Project Atlas. Now it felt more like home than the surface ever had. They think we're clinging to the surface out of desperation, she mused, watching the whale shark disappear into the darkness. They don't understand that we've turned Earth's greatest barrier into our greatest advantage. Another alert flashed. The Collective's biosensor ships would arrive within the month. They would scan every cubic meter of Earth's oceans, certain they would find proof of human resistance activities. Instead, they would find an environment so hostile to their technology that they would finally dismiss the ocean as a threat. Begin final preparations for Phase 3, Asia commanded. Throughout Phoenix Station, engineers and scientists acknowledged the order. The time for hiding was almost over. Soon, they would show the collective that humanity hadn't been helplessly watching their civilization crumble. They had been building something new in the darkness, something that would shake the foundations of galactic power. The pressure that surrounded them wasn't a prison. It was the key to their liberation. The deception was almost complete. The revelation would be devastating. Rising tide. High Commander Vextil of the Horizon Collective stood on the command deck of the Assimilation Fleet flagship, watching Earth's oceans through enhanced sensor feeds. After a year of occupation, the primitive world still held mysteries that troubled their most advanced analysis systems. Another anomalous reading from the Pacific sector reported Sub-Commander Zura. Energy signatures that don't match known terrestrial patterns. Irrelevant. Vextil dismissed, their liquid metal form rippling with irritation. The humans are broken. Their space forces dismantled, their technology regressed by decades. These readings are merely natural phenomena we don't yet understand. Deep beneath the waves they washed so dismissively, Admiral Marcus Zhang stood in Atlantis Base's war room, surrounded by holographic displays showing the positions of every collective ship in Earth orbit. The moment they had planned for was approaching. Adapted technologies. The metamaterial hulls can transition from deep sea to space operations in seconds. Weapon systems are specifically designed to exploit the collective's vulnerabilities. Marcus walked to the main viewport, staring into the endless darkness of the deep ocean. Somewhere out there, massive underwater shipyards were working at full capacity, hidden in the deepest trenches and underwater mountain ranges. They were building a fleet unlike anything humanity, or the collective, had ever seen. Dr. Connor's initial estimate was correct. Alina continued. The collective's liquid metal technology is fundamentally incompatible with extreme pressure environments. Their ships would be crippled by the same forces our vessels use for power. A school of gulper eels swam past the viewport, their enormous jaws agape. They were another reminder of how alien their new home was, and how perfect it was as a staging ground for humanity's resistance. Time estimate until we reach full operational capacity, Marcus asked. 4 months for minimum viable force, 6 for optimal strength. Elena's avatar flickered as she processed more data. The surface situation is becoming more complex. The collective is demanding access to our remaining deep-sea research facilities. They claim it's to verify our compliance with their technological regression protocols. Marcus watched as another construction unit moved past the viewport, its swarm of autonomous drones assembling a new section of the base. Let them look. They'll find exactly what we want them to find. A few primitive submarines, some basic research equipment. Nothing that would suggest we've turned Earth's oceans into the largest military manufacturing center in human history. A message from Surface Command flashed across his neural interface. The collective had scheduled a full compliance inspection for the following month. They would send their most advanced sensors to scan every corner of Earth's oceans. Perfect timing, Marcus said, allowing himself a small smile. By then, Operation Ghostlight will have them thoroughly convinced that deep-sea investigation is a waste of their resources. He turned back to the command center's displays, watching as humanity's hidden civilization grew stronger with each passing day. The collective thought they were forcing humanity to devolve. Instead, they had pushed them to adapt in ways that would soon prove devastating. Send word to all facilities, he ordered. Accelerate production, but maintain stealth protocols. When we surface, I want it to be with overwhelming force. The ocean darkness seemed to pulse with hidden purpose, as if the very water around them knew it was sheltering humanity's greatest secret. Soon, that secret would rise to the surface, and the collective would learn that they hadn't been watching humanity drown. They had been watching them learn to swim. The deception. Chief Engineer Aisha Patel hadn't seen natural sunlight in 8 months. Like millions of others, she had adapted to life in the deep, where the only illumination came from bioluminescent organisms and the artificial lights of humanity's underwater cities. But today, she wasn't thinking about the sun. She was focused on the holographic display showing their latest breakthrough. "Run the simulation again," she commanded, watching as virtual particles flowed through the new pressure drive system. The technology, adapted from the alien archive and enhanced with humanity's innovations, used the crushing force of deep ocean pressure as both shield and weapon. "Simulation complete," announced the AI. "Energy conversion rate at 98.9% efficiency. The system will successfully transition from oceanic pressure to vacuum thrust in 1.2 seconds. Around her, the engineering bay of Phoenix Station hummed with activity. Located 15 kilometers beneath the Indian Ocean, the facility was one of their most advanced weapons development centers. The collected ships patrolling above had no idea that their greatest threat was being forged in the darkness below. Dr. Connor's latest data packet from Nautilus Station just arrived, her assistant, Dr. Tom Chen, reported. They've finished decoding another section of the archive. The collective's entire sensor network is based on quantum resonance scanning, completely blind to our metamaterial cloaking. Aisha nodded, manipulating the holographic drive system with practiced gestures. They're looking for technology that makes sense to them. Everything we're building down here would seem impossible by their standards. A priority alert flashed across her neural interface. Surface Command was reporting increased collective activity around their deep-sea monitoring stations. The aliens were becoming more thorough in their inspections, though their arrogance still prevented them from seeing the truth. As she outlined her plan, Sarah watched another school of Hadal snailfish swim past. Evolution had perfected their design over millions of years, adapting them to survive where nothing else could. Now humanity would need to do the same, not over millions of years, but in just one. They would need to become creatures of the deep, hiding in the one place the collective couldn't follow. The Nautilus Station's lights dimmed to minimal power, masking their presence from the alien ships above. In the darkness, Sarah could almost pretend the pressure surrounding them was a protective embrace rather than a killing force. They would turn that pressure into their advantage. They would make the oceans their fortress. And when the time came, they would show the Horizon Collective that humanity wasn't just another civilization to be consumed. They were something new, something that could adapt and survive in the most hostile environment their world had to offer. The game of deception was about to begin. Project Atlas. 6 months after the Horizon Collective's arrival, Admiral Marcus Jong stood in the command center of Atlantis Base, watching real-time feeds from construction sites across Earth's oceans. The base, built into the mid-Atlantic ridge at a depth of 8 kilometers, was just one of dozens of underwater civilization centers being constructed at unprecedented speed. "Status report," he commanded, his neural implant interfacing with the base's eye. Holographic displays materialized around him, showing the progress of Project Atlas. What they'd accomplished in half a year would have seemed impossible before the collective's arrival. Humanity had always been at its most innovative when backed into a corner. Surface deception protocols operating at 99.8% efficiency, reported Captain Elena Rodriguez, his chief of operations. Her avatar appeared beside him, composed of shimmering blue light. The collective continues to believe their assimilation is proceeding as planned. Above them, on Earth's surface, carefully orchestrated scenes of submission played out. Old military bases were ceremonially dismantled. Spacecraft were destroyed in public displays of compliance. The collective's representatives watched with satisfaction as humanity appeared to regress into a primitive, subjugated species. They never looked down. "Show me the Poseidon complex," Marcus ordered. The displays shifted to show an underwater city taking shape in the South Pacific. Massive habitat domes stretched for kilometers, their transparent walls made of metamaterials reverse-engineered from the alien archive. They could withstand pressures that would have crushed traditional structures. while remaining completely invisible to the collective sensors. Population transfer is at 47%. The discovery. Dr. Sarah Connor stood at the viewport of the Nautilus Deep Sea Research Station, watching the darkness of the Mariana Trench press against the reinforced glass. At 11 kilometers beneath the Pacific, the pressure here could crush a conventional submarine like an aluminum can. But it wasn't the pressure that held her attention today. It was what they'd found in that darkness. Signal analysis complete, Dr. Connor. Dr. James Chen's voice came through her neural implant. The structure's energy signature is unlike anything in our database. Whatever this is, it's not natural, and it's not human. Sarah watched as the station's external lights illuminated a massive geometric shape protruding from the trench wall. Its surface was covered in perfectly hexagonal patterns that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They discovered it 3 days ago during a routine geological survey, and every hour since had brought new questions. "Any progress on penetrating the outer shell?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. They'd tried everything from conventional drills to plasma cutters. Negative. The material's molecular structure actively resists any attempt at penetration. It's almost as if, James paused, choosing his words carefully, as if it was designed to keep something in rather than out. A school of Hadal snailfish swam past the viewport, their translucent bodies barely visible in the station's lights. Sarah watched them with envy. They were perfectly adapted to this extreme environment, while humans needed millions in technology just to survive here. "Dr. Connor," the station's AI interrupted. "We're receiving an emergency broadcast from the surface. Priority Alpha." Sarah felt her heart skip. Priority Alpha meant something had gone catastrophically wrong. "Put it through." The viewport transformed into a display showing live footage from orbit. Massive objects were decelerating into the solar system, their surfaces rippling like liquid metal. They were clearly artificial and absolutely enormous. The smallest was larger than anything humanity had ever constructed in space. "First contact," Sarah whispered, her voice barely audible. "After all our searching, they found us first." "Dr. Connor," James's voice was tense. "The structure, it's activating." Sarah spun away from the orbital footage. The geometric shape in the trench wall was pulsing with a deep blue light, its hexagonal patterns shifting and realigning. Data streamed across her neural interface. Energy readings were off the charts. "Full evacuation now," she ordered, but before anyone could move, a holographic message erupted from the structure. Alien symbols transformed into English before their eyes. "To those who find this warning, they are coming. The Horizon Collective consumes all civilizations it encounters, incorporating their technology and knowledge while enslaving their people. This archive contains the combined technological knowledge of 17 fallen civilizations. Use it. Prepare. You have one solar rotation before they reach your world." Sarah's mind raced. 1 solar rotation. A year. The massive ships in orbit weren't a peaceful first contact. They were an advanced scout force. "James, get me a secure line to Surface Command, and download everything you can from that archive." She turned back to the viewport, watching as more alien ships appeared in orbit. "We're going to need every advantage we can get." Within hours, the Horizon Collective's message reached every corner of Earth. Submit to assimilation or face extinction. Their ships entered low orbit, their liquid metal hulls morphing into weapons that made humanity's most advanced technology look primitive by comparison. But as surface governments scrambled to respond, Sarah and her team worked feverishly to decrypt the alien archive. What they found changed everything. The archive didn't just contain advanced technology. It contained specific weaknesses of the Horizon Collective, documented by civilizations that had fought and lost against them. The Collective's liquid metal technology was incredibly advanced, but it had a critical vulnerability. It couldn't function under extreme pressure. They'd evolved their technology in the void of space, never needing to adapt to the crushing depths of an ocean world. "This is why the archive was hidden here," Sarah realized, watching the alien ships through the station's upward-facing sensors. The previous civilizations knew the collective couldn't reach it. She opened a channel to the United Earth Defense Council. "This is Dr. Sarah Connor at Nautilus Station. I know how we can fight back, but we'll need to move our entire civilization underwater. And we'll need to make the collective think they've already won."